Afternoon, team. Silence is deafening. Hey, Jesse.
Hello, how are you, Arthur?
Good afternoon, mate. I see you got your helper there.
Yes, got Ishan, he started just recently.
Good on you, mate.
Thank you.
Arthur is the engine of the EView group.
Oh, nice.
Nice to meet you. There he is. I was starting to
Hey,
panic
everyone.
there. I didn't see you on, Manos. I was starting to panic.
I love it. How are we, guys? Welcome, everyone, to our second session. Who's excited? Who we got on? How many we got on at the moment?
At the moment, just 15, Manos. There's more coming in.
Fantastic. Awesome. Jazz, how are you, buddy? How you doing?
Very well, thank you. Manos, yourself?
Yeah, fantastic. How can we not be? And we've got Maria here as well.
Yeah.
I'll be videotaping.
Okay.
So I've got all Team Greece here helping us. So it's going to be a bit of fun today. So we're at so for everyone from the background point of view, we're at Team Greece HQ in the heart of Hania, which is on the island of Crete, on the west side of the island. And yeah, super excited to be here. And can I just say a big thumbs up to Greece internet. The internet here is like the fastest I've ever seen. I just cannot believe it. Like it's just like everything's happening really, really quickly. And yeah, it's been really, really good.
Still a bit early though. The office is empty.
Yeah, I know. They start a little bit later here.
It's 8 o'clock.
Well, yeah, 8 o'clock.
Yeah, 8 o'clock is early.
But I'm sure by the time 9 o'clock comes around, we'll see
quite a few people rocking up
to the office, and yeah, and super excited to be here. But welcome everyone, and I'm super excited as Maria is in regards to obviously
launching the second
session.
Yeah.
So the art and science of lead generation. It's one of those sessions today that can change people's careers when you get it right. And today is about learning the fundamentals. And then from those fundamentals, actually applying it, because
taking action,
because as we know, we can learn lots. We can attend all these webinars and seminars and conferences like the Black Salt, but if we actually don't apply anything, then you might as well not have attended.
Nothing happens.
Nothing happens if nothing happens. So welcome to everyone, and thank you for obviously making the time to attend. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a little bit different to our last one. Yep, and Maria's organised the traditional frappe coffee here in Crete, which is fantastic, and we're ready to go. But look, without further delay, I'm going to get straight into it. We've got 2 hours jam-packed of content. As I said, for those people that have seen this session before, it is a little bit different. I have mixed it up, just added some updated things. So now, unlike our last session, the Sales Agents Business Plan and Training webinar, we made a decision to go to the traditional Zoom. Now, I've got my co-host on, Arthur, obviously introducing himself to the whole team, and he'll be my co-host today. And he'll be looking at your messages, and then I want it to be interactive. I want it to be as interactive as possible. So if you've got questions, please put them in the chat box. Arthur will relay it, and we'll just have conversations. And I may turn to some of the team members as well, should we need to get obviously some team interaction happening as well. So we're all good with that? Good. Thumbs up. Arthur, over to you.
Fantastic, mate. I got you loud and clear here. I'm ready to go. Guys, as Manos said, any questions, type them in the chat box. I'll interrupt and away we go.
Fantastic. Okay.
Let's make a
first
start,
of all, just want to, and our first, let's just try. That's it. Okay. A big shout out to our industry partners once more. Without their support, none of this would happen. So I'm really grateful for all not only the financial support, the moral support that they give for us to be able to put on these events. So a big shout out to all of them that have been instrumental in the Black Salt movement, and are super excited to be partnering. And we'll probably have a big announcement at the end as well in regards to our next black salt session. So over to the next slide. So of course, we're working through our black salt workbooks that you were provided. And if you weren't in attendance, if you were part of the virtual sessions, these workbooks are available through the membership hub, the Black Salt membership hub. So please download them, print them off, and you can use these as your framework for obviously building out your sales agent business plan. But more importantly, today, the Black Salt art and science of lead generation. So there's lots of work pages in this workbook that you'll be going through. Okay. As I said, this is our second session. We've completed the sales agent's business plan. I'm hoping that lots of people got lots of content out of it because it was, we had some phenomenal feedback and a few people reached out, asking me questions. And I think the biggest light bulb moment really from the sales agent's business plan, there was two things that came out of it. Number one was the alpha and omega, the appraisal to list ratio. And I had a number of people who reached out and said, I get it now. I get it now. All about the appraisal to list ratio, those belly-to-belly appointments in the field and how that impacts your business. And then the other one was the opportunity ratio. And it's really relevant to this session, the opportunity ratio, because at the end of the day, if we don't get invited into the lounge room to pitch for the business, you're never going to win it. It's the beginning and the end of everything, right? So if you don't get the invite, the opportunity, there's no way that lead generation is going to help you, okay? So it was really, really important. And then the other one, of course, was the momentum point. Now, that momentum point, understanding, getting yourself to that point where you're getting inbound rather than outbounds. And big show of hands on the screen, who wants to be at the momentum point? Who wants to be getting the inbound calls as opposed to always doing the hustle and always doing the hustle and chasing and chasing? You just want those calls coming to you because of all the work that you did. Now, team, the results we generate today from appraisals are a direct reflection of the work we did 3 months ago, 6 months ago. Okay, so it doesn't happen. You're not going to be going out there doing letterbox drops today. And of course, you might get one lead today, but most of the impact will happen in 3 to 6 months' time over a layered effect. So please understand that. So if you're not getting results today, don't be disheartened. It's because of the possibility of what you didn't do 3 to 6 months ago, because it does take time. Okay, so moving forward. So the art and science of lead generation. A few things we'll be covering off today. So there's 8 components to this session. Why is it part art and part science? Let's not fall for the loyalty trap. And I think this is a really big one for a lot of people, the loyalty trap, because people say, oh, there's no more loyalty out there, but also I've got a perception on it that we shouldn't be relying on loyalty. And are you a real estate agent or a secret agent? Getting the call in, how it works. Once we have an understanding of how we get the call ins, we'll know what to do to actually work towards it. The power of leverage, everything is about leverage. The oxymoron of the 4 sale board. I'm going to be challenging everyone to understand that sometimes, well, not sometimes, your 4 sale board, and especially the ones with those sold stickers, is your most powerful advertising component and future business leverage out of everything that you can possibly do. Reverse engineering your next 12 months. So how do you have your absolute best next financial year? And what we need to do to achieve that. And of course, building out your mainstream prospecting plan. And I want, if you can get some structure out of today so that you can set and forget and never have to worry about thinking about your prospecting plan. We want to make sure that we build it in a way that we put it on autopilot and things just fall in place. Who's good for that? Okay, so yeah, big show of hands. So moving on, why is it part art and why is it part science? So the thing about lead generation, it's art because it requires perfection through practice, consistency, practical knowledge, creativity, and personal skills. Now, we'll go into some examples of why it's art, because it's not just about doing the prospecting, getting our telemarketers to do the phone calls. It's not just about doing consistent letterbox drops. It's not just about putting the social media. There is an art to amplifying the leads that you get by using a structured approach. And we'll talk about that in the next slide. And of course, the science, for those of us that are into the numbers and understanding that numbers are the key to everything that we do, and they help us predict the future, because there's universally accepted principles. Results are driven by activity, which when applied and measured, it's 100% predictable. And I want everyone to understand the 100% predictability of building out your prospecting plan. So once you approach lead generation with these two aspects in mind, and the other key element to this, you need to allow time to do its thing. So prospecting isn't a now. And I know a lot of people get frustrated. Oh, I want my now vendors. Who wants now vendors? Who wants to know that they're going to call 5 people today and they're now vendors and so forth? And I wish I could give you that magic bullet. I really do, right? The magic bullet happens though when you do all the other stuff and then you start getting the now vendors. And when you allow time to do its thing, you'll build an incredible and most importantly, a sustainable pipeline of future business. And that's what we all want. And when we talk about future business, we're talking about a database of people that really is, in essence, your superannuation fund in real estate. Because once we capture these leads and we put them in a holding tank called a database, and we learn how to engage with them and nurture that. And I'm not talking about a client for life program, because for me, client for life programs are a little bit scary, especially if I'm the actual client. We'll talk about that as well. We understand that that holding tank of data is your future business. And that's the whole goal of lead generation, okay? So, and as Leonardo da Vinci visualized in the Vitruvian Man, symbolizing the perfect man, when you get the art component of lead generation, and that requires IQ, and when you get the science of lead generation put together, you have the perfect lead generation system, okay? So we're all good? Let's go. All right. The art of asking the right questions. So part of the art is reading the play, digging deep. And when you talk to those agents that understand that great questions lead to incredible outcomes, people really focus on it. And I'm just going to give you a few examples. And that's why it's so important that when we come to these training sessions and you hear some scripts and dialogues, and whether you're listening and whether you're part of our team on the fortnightly role play that we do, or whether you're part of the real estate gym with Tom Panos or attending ARIC or any of the other training conferences, when we hear some fantastic dialogue, we need to capture that and then make it our own. And then from that dialogue, you'll be able to uncover incredible opportunities, and whether it's opportunities for winning business, as in prospective sellers, and opportunities to find the perfect buyer for your properties. So it is an art, and it's simple, and you need to build a repertoire. So for example, one of the best, when we were listing and selling, one of the best questions we used to ask buyers to uncover leads is, when they were visiting open for inspections or the follow-up call, it's, are you planning on holding on to your current residence or? And then you pause. and you let them finish the question, because they're going to tell you right then and there that they've either renting, they've either sold, or they're preparing their house to market, or they're holding on to their property. So that one question is part of the art of lead generation, isn't it? But you got to ask the question. Show of hands, who's got a repertoire of questions? And I'm going to go through a few more. Yes, no, and it should be part of your process. And if you're working in a team, part of the standard that you ask some of these questions. One of the other questions that you can ask someone to dig a little bit deeper. Most people we speak with know of someone thinking of selling. Who would that be in your case? It's a fantastic question, because you're speaking to a lot of people that you know are not coming to market. It could be your 1-year anniversary call to your vendors from past transactions or past sellers or someone that you've actually transacted with in the past. One of the great questions is, instead of asking, oh, think of me when you, think of me and we love referrals and so forth, just be super direct. Most people we speak with know of someone thinking of selling. Who would that be in your case? And they start thinking about it, and you'll uncover gold. And I want people to write these down. Of course, this is a recorded session and you'll get a copy of all the slides, but it'll be great if you implement and then share it with the team in our next session. Okay. We have buyers who are willing to pay. So you're in a listing presentation, or you're talking to someone who's got a prospective seller, but they've told you, we're not coming to market at all. Love to have an update, or love to receive your report, or thank you for communicating, whatever it is. But just have one of those questions. Look, I understand you may not be thinking of selling right at this point in time, but if we have a buyer that we're working with that's willing to pay a premium for the right property, should we let them know about yours, just in case? Or at what price would you consider it? I know you're not thinking of selling, but it's just like anything. Everyone is on the market. Everything is for sale at the right price. What would you be your incredibly dream price? Okay. You extract that, and as ridiculous their price is, you know straight away that they're going to be a potential seller down the track. Does that make sense? Yep. Cool. And of course, this one is to keep clients' engagement top of mind. And that is to put them on what we call your mainstream marketing. Property owners we work with love our complimentary yearly property assessment and market update. I'm more than happy to include you in the program. Now, this is a great one because it's the fear of missing out, and also other people, there's social proof. If other people are using and finding value in your market reports, they won't want to miss out either. Does that make more sense? So this is part of the art of lead generation, is having great questions that you can follow up all those inbound leads, and of course, all the leads for your outbound calls. The next part is the science. And you've probably guessed it from the sales agent's business plan. I just love the numbers. I absolutely love the numbers, because it just opens up everything for you in regards to creating your future. So the sign says that for every 20 to 25 homes you drive by, one will be selling in the next 12 months. We spoke about it at the conference, and we spoke about it last month. Who since then has been driving by homes and have seen a couple of signs go up and thought of this formula straight away? Just a show of hands. Like who? Simone, isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing that you go past and you go, far out, a board just went out. That's one of the 25, one of the 20, one of the 25. I can almost guarantee you it's happened to every single real estate agent that's been on these conferences. Every single real estate agent. That a board's come up and you're going, well, that's part of the 1 in the 20, 1 in the 25. Okay. Who's actually calculated, right? And you can put it in the chat box. Who's actually calculated their turnover rate in their marketplace? Put it in the chat box, because I think that's from last session. We talked about market knowledge, and we said, okay, how many homes are selling in your particular patch, whether it's 1,000 homes or whether it's your suburb. Who's done that exercise? Who knows what that percentage is? 2.6, Julie, 2.6%. Well done. Over how many homes? You can unmute if you like. $3,100. Now, team, 2.6% is extremely low in regards to turnover. Okay, so it normally sits around the 4 to 5. Too friggin' low. I know, Julie. It is absolutely low, right? Because you think about it, that's 1 in 30, between 1 in 40 homes that you're driving by is coming onto the market. But how important? So what does that number tell Julie? Okay, because I want to dig deep a little bit. That number there, 2.6%, to me is very low. So if I want to achieve a certain target, for me, I would start prospecting more homes. And I know that's an expensive one. So Julie, thanks for, I can see that you've unmuted. So to me, 2.6 is really low and we need volume,
Yeah,
team.
it's super low, Manos. So it means a couple of things. We've got to be much, much better at conversion, improve our opportunity ratio as well. And we really have to look at our systems because, as you know, I'm good if they're going to market straight away, but if they're not, next. So I'm having to have a bit of a mental mind shift with that as well.
Yeah. So what Julie is
plus look at B areas, making sure we've got a broader patch to market in.
Yeah. 100%. Now, sometimes it's not a matter of just adding 1,000 to 2,000 homes when you start understanding the art and science of it. So in your case, Julie, what I'd be doing is really going heavy prospecting outside of my core area of 3,100 homes, opposition boards. So let's just pretend you capture a further 5,000 homes, and then on average, there's 2 to 3 listings coming on outside of those 3,100 homes. I'd be bombarding the magic 25s around opposition boards.
Yeah, that's a great strategy. Thanks, Manos.
Because the reality is, from a cost perspective, we need to be mindful, what are we going to be doing? Just saturating, because direct mail is costly. If you can get the data and do telemarketing, I think that's a really good return on investment. But again, we're going to be talking about the reticular activating system and what it means to prospective sellers out there and why we should be targeting opposition boards, right? Really, really hard. I'm not saying going behind the boards. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm talking about either side. I'm not a believer of targeting, unless I've got a relationship with the vendor that, you know, is on the market with someone else, I would not be contacting it. That's just my moral stance on it. And I think it should be everyone's moral stance. We don't need to be that type of agent in this business. We have to respect each other, humbly lose when we do, keep the relationships open, however. Now, Vicky Gardner, you've said 3.08%, again, very, very low. I'd love to know if anyone knows if they're up to 5, 6, 7%, because there's some marketplaces with that as well. So it's really important to understand your turnover rate, okay? That makes sense? All good? Let's move on. So the next thing is, part of lead generation is being there and speed. And I've mentioned it on a number of occasions in so many aspects. How quickly do you return inquiry? How quickly do you give vendor feedback? But speed, team, I want you to write this down. Speed is the new currency. It is your new value proposition, and a very easy one to outperform your competitors. We know from third-party referral sites that we work with, they've said that 80% of the leads are won by the agent who responded first. 80%, because they responded first. And I want you to understand that a lot of sellers will go to the point of least resistance. We're all busy. The psychology of everyone is, I just want fast and easy. I want you to think of any technology that you're using. People are not even reading instructions manuals anymore. Their expectation is it should be so intuitive, new technology, that I don't need to see an instruction manual. We're impatient, just the way we've been bred with technology. When we understand that, that is just huge. So please, speed is the new currency, and really look at your whole processes and your campaign timelines and everything that you do. Where can you accelerate or actually improve your speed of connection? And of course, measuring your return on investment on all your prospecting activities and keeping track of them. And I'm really hoping people did their exercise from our last session. Okay. So I briefly touched on this at Black Salt, but I thought I'd do this again, okay? The best return on investment is always going to be the one, love the one you're with, the one that you're with. And what we mean by that is your current clients, your current buyers that you're working with, and of course, people that you've transacted with in the past. It is so much easier to really generate a huge return on investment by having a great nurturing campaign, and I call it an engagement campaign. I don't call it client for life because I just think it's the wrong terminology, right? We understand what it means, but I think it's the wrong terminology. When you move it towards client engagement, it actually puts actions to it, right? Client for life to means loyalty program. And I don't believe loyalty is there anymore, right? Or it's never really been there. So that's my view on it. But we understand the return on investment, and I've just done some basics here so you understand that from a prospecting activity, what is going to be the return on investment. So if you made 100+ connected calls, you're likely to pick up one appraisal on possible listing. If you do letterbox drops, it's normally for every 2,000 drops that you do, you'll pick up an appraisal and or listing. The buyer letter, as you can see, what a conversion rate. It's about 270 buyer letters could go out and you'll pick up a solid lead from that. Agent referral sites, this is a really big one. And, you know, we're talking about Local Agent Finder, we're talking about realestate.com, we're talking about Open Agent and so forth. And there's a whole bunch more that obviously have these leads. And there's talk in our industry, should they exist, shouldn't they exist? Well, they do exist. So I always say, learn the rules of the game and play the game better than anyone else. I love vendor referral sites, I really do, because what do they have? What do they have access to? Now vendors. What is it the most agents want? Now vendors. Now, yes, we pay a fee for it. But when you start thinking about the money that you spend in prospecting to actually generate your fee, I can almost guarantee you from a maths point of view, it's about the same amount of money, right? Maybe a little bit more, maybe double, but it's a bit more than what it costs you to do it. But to get a lead, whether you do it yourself or you get it from an agent referral site, you're going to be paying for that lead in one form or another, whether it's in the past of your prospecting or whether you actually pay someone. And remember, we pay after the transaction as well. So that's a really big thing to understand too. Like, we don't pay unless we have a successful transaction. So the agent referral sites, and it is 3-to-1, approximately 3-to-1, because normally you're competing against 3 agents. Normally they're a little bit more price conscious, those people that go to the agent referral sites. But they're a good solid, so I encourage everyone to be aware of agent referral sites and embrace them. I really do. Who's using them actively? Who's using them actively? Yep, fantastic. Yeah. And Jazz, I can see that you got your hand up there, and that you obviously get great results from it. And of course, it gets you future business as well. And the other thing about agent referral sites we need to be aware of if a vendor has gone down that route of getting an agent referral site to pick their agent, how good a job are agents doing in the marketplace to be ahead of the game in the first instance? Does that make sense? So understand that and get it happy. Arthur, you've got a few people in the waiting room. If you want to just let them in. Fantastic.
Okay.
All right.
Manos,
Okay.
just very quickly, Megan was just asking, what are some examples of agent referral sites, please? Like
Yeah,
Sell
so
My
local-
Castle. Yep.
Sell My Castle, Local Agent Finder. I think those two are the same. Open Agent, Vendor Advocates. Vendor Advocates. If you're gonna vendor advocates that represent vendors in the marketplace, and then select agents, I would get very friendly with vendor advocates. I know they're pretty big in Victoria. I'm not sure about the rest of the states if they've got them at all, but you know, so it's there's heaps around there. And if you just do a quick Google, I'm looking to sell my home, right? So Megan, you should do this in your marketplace. I'm looking to sell my home. Have a look what comes up on Google. Because I want you to think, if you're a seller, how do you pick your agent? If you're a seller that has no relationship with agents, how are you picking your agent? How do you think they're picking their agent? So when you understand the path that people take to select their agent, then you can be ahead of the game and make sure that you're on that path. Okay? All right. And I'm sorry, I should have gone back. And of course, we've got website address searches. We know that 1 in 6 actually come to market within a 6 to 24-month period. And that's been proven not only from our network, but from other networks. For sale by owner, again, for sale by owner, they're now vendors. Understand this, 80% of for sale by owners end up using an agent. For sale by owner websites refer unsuccessful sellers to real estate agents. They pick up a fee. So be aware of that. Buyer conversions is a great one. We know 1 in 7 buyers that you meet will be selling in the next 6 to 12 months. Home open invites, huge. Home open invites, 3 to 1. So if you do your home open invite DLs and push in your local community for people to come to open for inspections of neighbours in their local area, you're getting hot vendors. You really are. You're getting vendors that are thinking about coming to market. Personal referrals, as we know, it's 1 in 2. Personal referrals because they're actually now vendors. Looking to select an agent, and in most instances, most people that get referred will have 50 to and plus success rates of winning the business. Past sellers, we know it's 80. You have a great client engagement and you give great service. There's an 80% chance they'll use you again in the future. And most past sellers are what we call real estate nomads. When people are used to selling their home and they do it often, they are the ones you need to be chasing. Those people that haven't sold for 20 to 30 years are less likely to come onto the market than someone that actually bought 3 to 4 years ago. It's just the way it is. And of course, your client engagement program and database nurturing, and we'll talk about a client engagement program. So there's a couple of things that you'll get out of today that actually you can set and forget and just follow it verbatim to get your client engagement, your lead generation really on autopilot. Okay. So number 2, don't fall for the loyalty trap. This is a big one. I fell for this early in my career. I thought they were going to name their kids after us. That was when we were listing and selling, and it was probably in the first 3 to 4 months of actually going out there and being an agent and going in the lounge room and winning business. And there was one particular couple that we had helped in a previous transaction, one of their family members. We did an extraordinary amount of work for them, really helped them with their rental properties as well. got called into, you know where I'm going with this, Arthur, aren't you? Number 6, Minton Court. Frank, you can tell I'm not over it, team. You can tell I'm not over it. I remember the address. We're talking about almost 20 years ago. Maria's in the corner here just smiling and just shaking her head.
I'm shaking my head.
And I remember the day that we went out there, we appraised the home, we're coming to market, really, really excited, walked out of the listing presentation, got it in the bag, loyalty, all that sort of stuff, because that was going through my mind. And a week later, we followed them up, and I remember, and Maria did the follow-up, and I remember that phone call like yesterday, and started talking, and you know, you can imagine how the phone call was going. Oh, okay. Look, I'm disappointed to hear, and what, you know, prompted you to select the other agent? We thought we had a great relationship. You know, obviously we weren't good enough on the day. Can you give us some feedback? No, this and this, this and that. Then she goes, look, wish you all the best on the phone call, and hanged up. And Maria, being the amazing agent she is, and at that time as well, she just went on to the next phone call. But I was listening to the conversation, and obviously I clicked that we've just lost the listing. And I said, Maria, who was that? Who did we lose? He goes, oh, that was 6 Minton Court, you know, Bob and Mary. And I went, what do you mean? They've given it to someone else. I said, honey, I can't believe it. I thought they loved us that much they were going to name their kids after us. Like, that's how a relationship, who's had those relationships? And you just can't believe that they've listed with someone else. Well, that was us. And I couldn't handle it. I was a mess. I was almost in the fetal position. I was, you know, couldn't get, my attitude was shit and everything. Lucky I had Maria there, who just looked at me. She goes, honey, can you please go home? We don't need this negativity. We just lost the listing. Big deal. Do you know what I mean? Next. I went home, team, for 3 days. I was contemplating my whole real estate career at that time. Should I be in this industry? Should I not be in this industry? I'm not cut out for it, right? I said loyalty. I was thinking I was part of that loyalty train, going, oh, I did so much for them and so forth, and they've listed with someone else. It was the most valuable lesson that I ever had. I know I'm still not over it, but it's a valuable lesson. Does that make sense? Don't have zero expectations, and it will save you an enormous amount of frustration, disappointment, lack of focus, and most importantly, it will reduce the risk of ever becoming complacent. And that's the lesson in forget about the loyalty card, okay? Because if you feel that people need to be loyal to you, you're going to become complacent. And I want you to think of these few things, right? You never, ever arrive in real estate. You never, ever arrive in real estate. You always need to prove your worth. And property owners are not interested in becoming your best friend. They're not. And they're definitely not interested for them to become your client for life. And if you had that conversation with your past sellers and buyers or anyone you interacted with, mate, they're gonna block you from Facebook. They're gonna block you from their phones and everything, because it's kind of creepy if you really think about it. Client for life. No, I've got choices. And people don't want that sort of pressure. Would everyone agree? Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So the strategy here is always operate in just started mode and energy. And I think for example, the reason we lost that particular listing in 6 Minton Court is because an agent recently sold a property in their street. That agent did the right thing, got a great big sold sticker, and then he door knocked the street. He goes, hi, it's XYZ from XYZ Real Estate. We just had a recent sale in the area. We've got a few leftover buyers. Are you thinking, or do you know of anyone locally who might be selling? And guess what they said? We're thinking about selling. And guess what he did? Is it okay if I introduce these buyers to your property? That'll be great. And he took them through, signed up the listing, and took the property to market. Okay, valuable lesson. So always operate in just started mode and energy. Don't fall for the loyalty trap. The next thing is become paranoid in your engagement approach to keep you on your toes and timely. Joel Hood took a part of our training session, as you know, in Black Salt, and he openly spoke about his follow-up to a couple of his listings on the Sunshine Coast didn't go to plan, and he actually lost them to the competitor, right? So his engagement approach just wasn't there. So even the best of the best get complacent, right? So just become paranoid. When they say to you at times, oh, I'm not thinking of selling for another month or 2 months, be a little bit paranoid and make sure that you have an engagement plan that covers as much as possible, so you're still top of mind, so you don't lose it to the easy option for some vendors. Remember what I said earlier on, a lot of vendors, it's just like water finds its level, or they always go to the point of least resistance. So people are looking for easy and simple and fast, not loyalty. Okay. So people have a short memory. Understand, right, that people have a short memory, and you need to remind them often that you continue to be an active and successful agent in mainstream marketing. And I'll share an example of one of our past team members. And this particular team member, this is before the day of social media being really prevalent in the marketplace. So we are talking, a good 15 years ago. Real valuable lesson. This particular agent was putting in a small profile image promotion advertising in the local paper. And it was costing him about $60 a week to do that. So it was just a small square, person's name, looking to sell in Langwarrin, call XYZ. Here's my mobile number. And he'd been doing this for about 12 months. This is a really valuable lesson when it comes to leverage. He was doing it for about 12 months, actually probably about 2 years. And we sat down, we had a business planning session, and he was looking at his budget. He goes, Manos, I'm spending about $300 a month on this newspaper advertising. I don't feel I'm getting a return on investment. I'm going to quit. Quit it. I'm going to stop it. And I said to him, I said, Jamie, I don't want you to do that, because I think if you actually do this, right, you're actually going to you're going to waste the last 2 years of leverage that you've been doing on the in the newspaper and telling the local community that you're an actual agent in the local marketplace. But this particular agent didn't listen to my advice and took pulled the ad. And 3 months later, he was letterbox dropping in his local area, and he came across a past buyer that bought off him who had listed a property with the opposition. And bumped into him in the streets, and they got talking. He goes, look, can I just ask, you didn't call me into the listing presentation, to the opportunity to, did I do something wrong? And the buyer said to him, the seller at that time said to him, he goes, oh, actually didn't see you in the paper anymore. You weren't, I thought you left the industry. So understand that people do have a short memory, and we need to remind them often that you continue to be an active and successful agent in mainstream marketing. And here's another lesson. In prospecting. So we've recently done a case study in one of our local suburbs of Baxter, where we've taken an agent, no name, no brand, no nothing, and started cold. And started really penetrating the marketplace to see, okay, what sort of the results are going to be if we just do mainstream marketing. And we've done it a number of times. And the interesting thing is, the very first listing that our team member Steve got in that local marketplace, the vendor said, you're selling everything, and you're the most active agent in the area. And it's because we use the layered effect approach in our prospecting that the perception in the marketplace for this particular seller was that Steve was the most active agent. He hadn't even listed or sold a property in that area ever. And yet that was the perception. Now, that's not being deceitful. We never said that we've sold anything, but we're just being active. And that was one of the reasons he got called in. He goes, you seem to be selling everything. So it was quite interesting. People have a short memory. Remind them often. Okay, are you a real estate agent or a secret agent? Now, this one comes to one thing. Have we earned the right to do enough? Now, when we talk about being a secret agent or a real estate agent, we need to understand there are 3 areas of influence that we have in our local marketplace. It's not just your service area, and it's not just your database, and it's not just your social and digital. All 3 overlap, okay? And we need to be communicating in all these 3 areas simultaneously, sometimes with the same message, using different channels, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So you can have what we call the reticular activating system effect and the omnipresence. So you need to be the agent that has omnipresence in your marketplace. And omnipresence means that you're being encountered and seen as often as possible. And it's actually not that difficult to do, right? And we'll just share some case studies in regards to when you have something on the back of a bus, when you have social media working for you, when you have print media working for you, when you have for sale boards and you're prospecting your direct mail, you have what we call cross-pollination happening. It's the same message, but across all these 3 things. Now, database is so important because going back to the return on investment, love the one you're with, that is your biggest return on investment on everything. So really, when I look at this, everything should focus back onto the database, and we're pulling in data from your social and digital, your service area and community, from your actual work that you do, and putting people into your database. So just remember that in your prospecting. So here's another thing. So in the chat box, if you can answer this question, you go to 2 adjoining restaurants. You have made a decision of which one to walk into. One is very busy and has a queue of patrons waiting to get in. One is empty. Which one are you instinctively drawn to? The busy one. The busy one. Yeah, of course. Okay. Of course you're drawn to the busy one. That's exactly the same in real estate. I want you to think about it. If your perception in the marketplace is that you're busy and active, you will get the call in. Now, people say to me, but Manos, I haven't got the 10 listings like my number. I haven't sold 20 homes in the last 12 months in my service area. How am I going to be the busy one? Team, the sellers don't think like that. The reticular activating system is when a seller is thinking about selling, they start becoming aware and noticing who's doing what in the marketplace. I'm going to give 2 real life examples, right? And you'll relate to this. Number 1, if you were thinking right now of purchasing a red Mazda CX-5, and you looked it up on your Facebook, let alone the algorithm always feeding you with cars, but anyway, but you looked it up on Facebook, on digital, I should say, and you're interested in purchasing it, and then you go driving. What are you going to see thereafter when you're driving? Lots of CX-5 Mazdas, right? And it's called the frequency illusion, and what it means is, frequency illusion is there's actually not more CX-5s out there, red ones in particular. It's just that you've told your mind, your subconscious mind, that you're interested in a red CX-5 Mazda. And then whenever one appears, it brings it to your attention. It's the same with a seller. If they're thinking about selling, right, or have a conversation at night and say, you know what, is it time for us to be selling? They're going to start thinking about real estate agents and the process of selling, and they'll start noticing. So when we think of it that point of view, you've just got to be an agent that is omnipresent in all these different channels so that you get onto their shopping list. We'll talk about the shopping list in a moment, okay? So here's another live example, right? We're all real estate agents who work on a Saturday, yeah? Show of hands, everyone works on a Saturday, yep. How often? You're driving, you're doing your usual stuff, driving to your open for inspections and your buyer appointments and all that. When driving, how many real estate agents do you notice driving past you? Heaps. You can pick a real estate agent a mile away. The car they drive, and I'm not saying you know them, I'm just saying you can pick a real estate agent. The way they dress, when they walk down the street, their cars, the whole lot. You know, your mind, because you're in real estate mode, so you know you see real estate agents everywhere, okay? So again, that's a typical example of the reticular activating system and why it's important when you're building out your prospecting plan, your lead generation plan, that you have that as part of your strategy and understanding, because it's going to make you do the right things at the right time. Okay, so get into call in and how it works. So part of the RAS, right? And if I could, this is my biggest question that I get. I'm just not getting called in. I'm just not getting called in. Why are all these people listing, but I'm not getting called in? And I have to say this, right? Have you done enough to earn the right to get called in? So simple exercise, which I've asked you to do in the sales agent business plan. There's a little bit of crossover, is if there was 5 listings that came to market last week in your area or whenever, just do the exercise. Number 1, did you appraise any of those properties? If you did, you got called in, right? Number 2, you didn't appraise it, right? Have you got the details, as in contact details for that property? If you don't, right, so it's either going to be a yes or no. If you don't, then have a look at your prospecting activity around that particular property. When was the last time that they got any type of communication, whether it's a telemarketing call, door knock, direct mail? And when you start analysing that, it starts to paint a picture of how good your prospecting strategy is, okay? Having said that, understanding that digital plays a big part now, a huge part. And we've had the pleasure over the last 3 to 4 days here in Crete, and some of you may have seen it, that we've been with Mr. Tom Panos and being their host here in Crete for the last 3 to 4 days. Can I tell you, team, like, he is the master of social media. I like the simplicity of his strategy to keep engaged with his target audience on the other side of the world was great. We learned so much from Tom, and social media plays a big role in omnipresence, and those people that do it consistently and well do get the benefit of it. Okay, so have you had enough? So converting strangers into raving fans, and this is how we win a business, and how it works, right? We have strangers. So strangers are made aware of an agent via prospecting activity, yeah? We get on their shopping list, right? Imminent sellers are attracted by agent market presence and or word of mouth, as we know, referrals. Agent wins the opportunity to be on the interview list, okay? So they're thinking about it. Here's a statistic, team. Statistic from CoreLogic. 60% of sellers have made a decision to use a particular agent based on their market presence and activity before meeting an agent. The only time they don't use that agent is if that agent stuffs it up in the lounge room. Think about it, right? Think about it. Before they even meet you, 60% of sellers have actually made a decision to use you. So when you go into that lounge room with that mindset, it's pretty powerful, right? Because they've liked what you've done out there. They're interested in what you've done. So 60%, remember that. So of course, leads, inbound and outbound, and we generate inbound leads and outbound leads, okay? Through our telemarketing and obviously follow up. So leads result in appraisals, appointments, which generate listings. That's the whole thing. So, and this is the big one. The agent who books the most face-to-face appointments will win. It's not the agent that makes the most calls. It's the agent, I used to think that, but it's the agent that is able to do face-to-face appointments will win. Remember that. And then, of course, from conversion, we go into the sell mode. So we've listed their property, delivery of service produces successful sales results. And that's all it does. But when we delight them, so we attract, convert, sell, and then we delight them, extraordinary service creates raving fans, right? And that's the whole process of finding a seller and then transacting. And then it continues. So what it does right here, this whole timeline is all about the follow through, making sure we've got a great follow through. And then of course, once we delight them and we've exceeded their expectations, met and exceeded their expectations, we stay engaged. So remaining engaged and being of relevance after the transaction places the agent on the shopping list for future re-engagement and referrals. It's not a loyalty program. That makes sense? Once they've sold and transacted, they're back in the community. And you're in competition mode straight away. Remember that. Okay. So the power of leverage. So never do one thing in isolation. Do multiple things. The power of leverage. And I call it the piggyback theory, where you leverage and amplify. One-off prospecting activities have little cut through. If you only do letterbox drops and not much else after that, and you only do letterbox drops once every 3 months, and it's not consistent, you're not leveraging that, you're better off not doing letterbox drops. Almost guarantee you. There's only been a few people that have said to me that they've actually secured a listing on their very first letterbox drop. Very few, okay? So you might as well not do it if you don't plan on doing it consistently. And we'll talk about how frequent it should be. Leverage campaigns amplify the cut through of each activity, right? And you will get the comments, I see you everywhere, right? So when we look at the leverage, and I've just given some examples when you move from a letterbox drop, and then you secure a for sale board, a listing, and then you do your magic 25s, which is your just listed, just sold, your home open invites, and then you do your digital and your social at the same time. And if you door knock the area, and then you SMS and cold call those people that you have on your database, and of course it just amplifies as each step goes up. The most important one, which a lot of people miss out on, is after the sold. People finish the sold, the transaction, and then they move on to finding the next listing, but they don't leverage the sold one to knock it out of the park, right? So I do notice that gets missed. And when this part gets missed, there's opportunity, this huge opportunity. There's a couple of people that do it exceptionally well. And Karen Terry from McGrath in Sydney, and I use her as an example because the simplicity of it was incredible. And Karen, and I don't know her personally at all, but I follow her on social media. And I remember when she first started, and she's a high-performing multi-million-dollar agent now, but when she first started, she created what I call a trademark with her sold. And I'm encouraging everyone to have their own trademark process for a sold. Now, her trademark process was that she used to drive a Q5, an Audi Q5, white, and she used to have someone stand outside the front of the property, videotape her of driving to the property. So from a few properties back, pull up. She used to get out of the car, take out a sold sticker, walk over to the sold board and put a sold sticker on there. And that was it. Nothing else. There was no dialogue, nothing. It was just the Audi driving to the property, walking out, and then putting a sold sticker. Now, I want you to think this. If she only did that once, totally irrelevant. But she was doing it 2 to 3 times a month, once, twice, obviously, until she started building up some leverage. So suddenly, if you were following her on Facebook, that's all you saw. Now, I'm not saying people sat and watched the whole video, but they got a glimpse of what she was doing. So in their mind, if they're thinking about coming to market and they're in their local marketplace, there is an agent that is actively selling property. And it's just that action. The white Audi driving to the edge of the property, to the curb, walking up the nature strip and putting a sold sticker. And I encourage everyone to find their own unique trademark, and whether it's just listed and or just sold, find it and just keep doing it consistently. Arthur?
Yeah, just a great example of that, mate. At Black Salt 24, we had Brian come up and speak. I know you used him as an example. Correct me if I'm wrong, Manos. He's done 365 days of door knocking on a single activity, and that is all that is done. So he's missed out on all these other activities that we can see in front of us now. He thought it was a great thing to do, but he's had little impact in his marketplace because it's the only thing he's done. He's not leveraged it at all.
Yeah.
So,
and it's the truth, Arthur. The more you leverage, the more omnipresence that you will have.
yeah.
And whilst the numbers were the numbers, there's no right or wrong either, right? So understanding when you do an activity and you measure the return on investment, it doesn't make it right or wrong, as long as it's commercially viable, of course. You just got to know what your numbers are and just keep doing it, but just leverage everything. And I can almost guarantee you, and I know I'll put it in the slides later, when you get your lead and your prospecting activities right, when you get your prospecting activities right and automated, and it's a process, it's sort of like driving a car. You list the property, the Magic 25s go out. You list the property, the SMS goes out. You put it under contract or you just sold it, you send it all to your established clients, right? You do the videos on a regular basis. You've got your service area prospecting down pat. You have your anniversary call strategy down pat. When you have all these processes in place, then they're really not difficult, but you've got to be consistent. I can almost guarantee you'll likely have to switch off your prospecting plan and activity because you won't be able to handle the leads. Right? And I know that's a big statement, but the reason I say it is because we see it all the time. And Joel Hood and Michael McClure, and there's a few people who are on this training session right now that they do everything correctly. Well, they've been doing it over a long period of time that they've allowed time to do its thing, and they have to switch it off. They have to tone it down. They have to go from Magic 200s down to Magic 100s because they're getting so many leads and they can't keep up with the service levels. So understand, you get this right, you'll have an influx, but it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen overnight, and understanding that. Okay, so let me just get back into, sorry, hang on a sec. There we go. All right, same story, same content, multiple channels. And for those of us that follow Gary Vaynerchuk, he was probably the most famous in regards to amplifying your content. And I get a lot of questions. What's the stuff? What's the stuff that we need to do to get into people's mind, to get their attention, right? And it's all about getting people's attention. So it's the same content on different channels. And as an example, what I put there is, your sold campaign, that should start with the door knock, your letterbox drop, your SMS, the call, the email, the social, the blog. There's so much that you can be doing, right? Just with one sold story, with one sold property. And I've got my videographer behind. No, you're right. In the background. Yeah. Thanks, babe. Right. So understand that when we do one thing, we can we can amplify it in so many ways. Like who is when we sell a property, like really use it to promote it in all these different channels. And in social media, you've got Instagram, you've got Facebook. Now, I understand we can go down a rabbit hole, but just keep it simple and automated, okay? One person, and I know Jazz is on the session today. If you're not following Jazz, please do so, because Jazz is really big on video. Jazz is really big on his prospecting. He is an attraction agent. So everyone knows him in his area of Point Cook and surrounds and Wyndham Vale. He does everything right. So, a big shout out to you, Jazz, because you do this, right? And it's so important. So understand that whatever you do, whether it's just listed or just sold, really amplify your communication through so many of these channels, okay? And keep it simple.
It never ends. I feel like something's still missing.
It never ends, and you feel like something is still missing. And that's a great, and Jazz, what I'd be doing in your position, right? And I know we're coming up to a business planning session, is go back to the opportunity ratio. What I talked about in regards to if 10 listings came on in your marketplace, how many of those did you have the opportunity to appraise? That's going to be a measure of your prospecting and whether we can need to ramp it up, or you're doing okay. Does that make sense? So I don't know of anyone getting an apps in a large area, 100% opportunity ratio that they go into every seller's home, and I wish everyone could, but it's virtually impossible, right? Virtually impossible. So, okay, moving forward, how are we going for time? 10 past. Fantastic. This is going to be good. The oxymoron of the for sale board, right? It's just the best. This is my favorite image of all our prospecting strategies that we've got. I've said it to multiple people. I want to hang it up in my office. I want to get it all plastered in my office, because if we understand this, this is your whole real estate career. And I'm going to go into detail here, right? And then I'll talk about the oxymoron of the for sale and sold board and the 60-40 rule. So, number one, from a prospecting, I want you to really start thinking about this, right? What can we do to amplify our for sale boards, and then once they sell? And of course, we've got our direct mail, which is a series just listed. Well, we start with a just appraised, okay? A just appraised drop. Don't discount this. And this should be a generic drop that you have in your toolbox. It should be in your car. Print off 10,000 of them, and every time you're in the street and you do an appraisal, just drop around 10, 15, 20 homes. You already made the effort to go to the property, just drop just appraised. Now, some people have said to me, he goes, but Manos, what if I don't list it? It doesn't matter. People aren't that intuitive in regards to, I saw Michael I got a just appraised, and now in his street, the agent listed with Ray White, and they didn't choose Michael. People don't think like that. Agents do, but people don't think like that. They just see a just appraised, some activity. Remember what we're trying to achieve, omnipresence. And then we'll talk about the 60-40 rule. Really understand, right? Then, of course, we've got the just listed. Now, just listed is your door knock, your SMS, your direct mail, your social media, your blog, your email, all these different channels, right? There's so much of it. Then you've got Your third series, this is the most important, one of the most important. If you can't do just listed and a special invitation, what I would do is I'd combine these two, just listed and a special invitation combined. Special invitation is a special invitation to a home open for inspection, right? And I want to get clear on this because I was in a coaching session with a team member and they said to me, Manos, I listed a property. I just did the just listed. I didn't have time to do the home open invite before the first open for inspection. And I said, and? He goes, well, it's too late. I've already had the first open for inspection. I'm not going to do a home open invite for the second week or third week. I said, well, how many open for inspections do you anticipate to have on your, what's your current OFI rate? Is it 3, 4, 5 before a property is sold? He goes, oh yeah, at least half a dozen. And I said, so why aren't you doing a home open invite every single week? Not to the same properties, but do 50 one week, do 50 to another set of 50 properties, then another 50. Doesn't matter. It may not be the first open for inspection, but get to the properties that you hadn't got to the week before. Absolutely. Arthur, do you want to just share that?
We've actually had this. There's actually a comment. A neighbour rocked up and said, I forgot to bring the invitation. Can I still come through? You know, that has really happened.
Yeah, absolutely. How many times do people, if you're doing this consistently and regularly, it's part of your strategy, you will have people bring the invitation with them. You will have people say, thank you so much. We weren't sure if we should. We're not thinking of selling ourselves or buying, or we're thinking of selling. We're certainly not thinking of buying in the same street. We didn't want to feel like we're sticky beaks. Does that make sense? So who's using that in the session today? Who's using that 10 out of 10 times? Well, 90% of the time. So I've got one person with their hand up. Michael who's a high-performing agent, $700,000-$800,000 rider, and he's not doing it. I'm not trying to bury you, Michael, but remember, what was my last quote? What are you laughing?
Because I used to do it. In my early days of Come Up, I used to have a handwritten letter that was an invitation to be open for inspection that was like it was that was written by the owner, and I'd get the owner's permission that I was able to do it. Would you mind if I write a letter to some of your neighbours to invite them to be open? We can bolster our numbers, and even if we get 2 or 3 genuine buyers and we couple that with 3 or 4 neighbours, those buyers don't know their neighbours, and it just builds the energy around the open. And they'd almost always say yes. But I used to do it, and I don't anymore.
Yeah,
being that I knew it worked, and
it definitely works. But it's one of those comments, and it's become famous in our in the agency network, because we have this comment. I used to do it. Sometimes we do some activities that work really, really well, and then we just get busy. We start getting inbounds. Michael's an attraction agent. We get busy. And we let go of some of the really critical components. But remember, it's an art and science. And what we're trying to achieve here is to get something bulletproof and automated. And some of these things are to-do lists for future personnel that are coming into your business. Okay, so understand a special invitation is a huge one. And I talk about high impact and wide impact activities, and that is a high impact. And what I mean by that, and we'll talk about some high impact activities shortly, is you do the right activities at the right time that gives you the best return on investment of your time and of your money. And this is one of them, a special invitation. Try it for a day. All right, we have the perfect buyer, okay? This is huge, team. And we have the perfect buyer. So you may have a listing that's been on the market for some time. You've had tons of buyers through, a dozen buyers through. They're not interested in this particular property for whatever reason, and all the vendors not accepting the current market, obviously sentiment in regards to price. But you've taken a whole bunch of buyers through. So If you've got short days on market, you can do, we have a buyer letter after the sold campaign. If you've got longer days on market, and I would be sending the buyer letter out midstream through that campaign, letting the neighbours know that we've had a whole bunch of buyers come through this particular property. You don't name the property, you just, it's a general letter where you say, you know, recent listings that we have generated some strong buyer demand. Our current stock of properties don't match their criteria. They're particularly looking for this, and this, which is code for the current properties overpriced and the vendors want too much money, in essence, and then getting that attention from prospective sellers. Because remember, when we think about sellers go to the point of least resistance, water always finds its level. This is one of those strategies. And if you remember, one of my first listings that we lost in my example was because they had a buyer, right? And it's the most powerful letter that you can have. And the beauty about the We Have a Buyer letter is, and I'm not sure if a number of people, especially from our team that I know, the buyer letter doesn't just work in the first week or 2 weeks that you drop it. In most instances, the buyer letter works 3 to 6 months later. Who can share some examples of that out of our team? That they've actually listed a property because they did a buyer letter 3 to 6 months ago, and the vendor or potential seller has rang up and said, I know that buyer's probably bought, but do you have any others? Who's had that as an example? Jazz?
We had it, Manos.
Yep.
So we listed 3 last year. And I mean,
Yep.
we've been on and off on that. We normally get them printed like 10,000, and we've just got 10,000 coming. So we listed last year 3. But interestingly, again, everything, your pointer boards, Facebook, videos, vendor testimonial videos, along with the buyer letter worked on that vendor. And there was a really good listing in the area, sold for 1.4, which was a really a good house that we had in our books. So that vendor said, after selling the property, that me and my wife, we were sitting and we were talking about which agent. And then I said to myself, in April last year, in 2022, we received a letter, and they listed in Jan 2023.
There you go. So it just happens. And I know, Michael, you put your hand up there, and I know George has done it on multiple occasions, and that's what we found. It works 3 to 6 months later. I'm not sure if our Shoreline is on too, because they do it really well. Okay, thank you for sharing, Jazz. And of course, if you're going to auction, it's auction time. It's a given. It's sold, and of course, the sold is the one you amplify. When's the best time? If you're doing auctions and you sell a property at auction, and if you don't sell a property at auction, you pass it in. The best time to do a door knock is straight after an auction, team. Number one, the vendors know, the local community knows you've got an auction happening in their street, in their local street. They're interested to find out how many times have agents been at auctions, and we've finished an auction, we haven't put the sold sticker up or anything as yet, or we've put the sold sticker up, and cars drive by, and what do? They stop and ask us what? How much did the property sell for? Or how'd the result go? So people are interested, and we lose these opportunities because we're rushing to the next one, and we're not thinking about amplifying. So to me, if you're an auction agent, what a golden opportunity to be door knocking straight after a Saturday in your suit, lanyard, whatever it is, with the brochures. We sold it, we got 700, whatever it was, and away you go. And of course, another buyers have just missed out, right? In another buyer campaign that you can do. The other thing, please don't underestimate this. And for those fortunate agents in their local marketplaces that can still put out pointer boards, guys, you're so lucky. For us in the Frankston market, we're only allowed to put 1 pointer board out per property, and that's at the front of the property. It's an absolute, anyway, I won't go into the politics of it, but if you're able to put out pointer boards, and I would go to the edge and put out as many as I possibly can, it is a fantastic branding exercise. Make sure they're out early. I'd be putting them out 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. Well, obviously getting someone else to do it if you're really busy. It should be part of your program. It's part of your prospecting strategy. Coming soon, most underutilized pointer board. If you're allowed in your marketplace, I know in Victoria we're allowed. Sometimes in New South Wales, I know you're not allowed to be advertising a property unless you have a contract in your hand. I would have a coming soon pointer board in my car. Always go to a listing presentation. As soon as I list that property, I'll be putting a pointer board at the front of the property straight away. Who does that right now? Who's doing that right now? All right. So again, there's only a few. Not everyone is doing it. So I want you to think about it because it starts activating local neighbours' interest, right? It's actually better doing that and then getting the for sale board than actually just putting up a for sale board. So just be mindful of that. Of course, your for sale board, the sold sticker, once it's sold, the flags. Here's another one. Don't underestimate this, right? And this has been done by a number of our team members. Here's a strategy. So whenever they do a private buyer appointment, they throw a flag on the board. So doing a private buyer appointment during the week, they throw a flag on it. Or a couple of buyer inquiries for a private buyer appointment at a particular day, they go on to realestate.com and put an open for inspection time. So say you get a buyer call today and they say, can I, I can see the property tomorrow or Thursday at 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock, whenever it is, and they may get another buyer inquiry, they actually put up an open for inspection, just like that, just straight onto realestate.com, and they have sold properties that way. So it's just a little strategy. You're utilizing everything you possibly can to get interest on the property, get it sold, and of course, find your next listing. And then, of course, we've got all the digital on the side here from your mobile phone. You can make phone calls, SMSs, your email marketing, your social media down the bottom, and of course, on the digital, anything digital that you can possibly do to send out just listed, just sold in your activity. So when you look at all this, like that keep you pretty busy. And going back to the Gary Vaynerchuk, you're using one piece of content, i.e. one listing, multiple channels, and you have omnipresence. People will think you're the busiest. You do all these things, it amplifies the perception in the marketplace that you're a busy agent. You get 2 or 3 or 4 listings and you're doing all these activities, you are killing it, right? All right. And yes, Arthur, Maria had the pointer boards out really early. Always. Okay, so the oxymoron of the for sale board and the 60-40 rule. So this is the one that frustrates a lot of agents. I know it frustrated myself. You'd list a property in a particular street. You have a fantastic campaign. You've done the perfect prospecting strategy. You just listed, you just sold, the home open invites. You achieve a fantastic result. You advertise that result throughout the street. You've done a fantastic campaign. You've covered all bases. And then a few weeks later, a for sale board comes up directly opposite your property with an opposition agent. And you didn't even get the call in. Who's had that? Who's had that experience? It is the most. Who hates that experience? Who doesn't enjoy it? Hates a harsh word. Who doesn't like that experience? We can all put our hands up. Team, this is part of real estate. And when you start to understand the statistics behind it, is that 6% of vendors are influenced to get an agent in that's had a successful sale in their local marketplace. Yeah. All right, that they will get them in to call in for an appraisal, but there will be 40%, 30 to 40% of vendors, if not more, who will not use the agent that just had a successful sale in their street due to privacy reasons or just feeling uncomfortable using the same agent that someone else has, right? So that means we should be prospecting. We want to capture the 40% that are likely to list in our areas where our opposition have listed a property. Does that make sense? So going back to our conversation with Julie Ormston in regards to prospecting, if your volume is, turnover is low, if you want to capture more market share or more volume, go to your opposition agent boards and prospect around those. Not behind the board, I'm just talking about either side of the board, because you're likely to pick up vendors, the 40% of vendors that are not likely to use that agent. Does that make sense? It's really important to understand that, okay? And it's always going to happen, so don't feel bad about it. Just be that agent that lists the board in the street that one of your competitors sold a property, right? Okay. Moving forward, reverse engineering your next 12 months. It's 1.5 hours in, team. We've only got about 15 minutes to go, so we should be able to finish off early and maybe do a little bit of Q&A. Reverse engineering your next 12 months.
Can you say that again?
Reverse engineering your next 12 months. Really important. The best way to predict the future is to create it. Now, the big question, and I see a few smiles from the screen. This is so much better than the webinar process. You can actually see faces and stuff like that. So there's some good interaction, which is great. So did you complete your homework from last session? And that is completing your Alpha and Omega workbook. Have you been able to see what worked, what didn't? What did you do? What didn't you do? Okay, show of hands. Show of hands if you have, or just put it in the chat box. And is that a question there, AP? What dialogue should we use when prospecting other agents, boards, and campaigns? Oh, there's the market's strong in your. The best one for me, right? So when I get stuck in regards to what to say, is especially when you have market knowledge. This is so important. Market knowledge. If you remember in our sales agents business training, market knowledge was one of those big things. Is understanding. Did you know? Like for me, is Miss Vendor or anyone I contact with. Did you know in the last 12 months in this particular patch or in this particular suburb there were 500 homes sold? High sale price was 2 million. Lower sale price was 800,000. Medium is 1.5. Where do you think your property sits? That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. And just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Understand you've always got to know those numbers. You're a real estate agent. You're going into listing presentations. You need to know your market. You cannot afford not to know these things. So you don't need to recreate this. If this is one strategy. Now, once you get busy and you have your own stats, you can say, hey, our agency sold 30 homes in the last 60, 90 days. We've actually come across 300 buyers. We've got registered 30 who are really hot to trot. And then you can talk about that. We're looking for sellers. We're looking for imminent sellers looking at selling. So again, use the information that you have access to. Don't overcomplicate it, right? And being general is often the best strategy. Okay, so if you've done this exercise, completing your Alpha and Omega, which is just recording your appraisals and then recording the lead sources, you'll have a snapshot of what prospecting worked for you in the last 12 months. Now, of course, if you didn't do any particular prospecting, you know what you didn't do. And of course, if you did do some prospecting and it returned 0 results, you need to have a look at that and look at the return on investment. And sometimes we're not going to know. You need to be aware that there is a case of 50% of the advertising that we do, we know may not have an effect or give us a good return on investment. We just don't know which 50% that is. So again, you've just got to manage your budget and what you're doing in prospecting to get it right. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Moving forward. So that number one exercise in regards to your prospecting plan. And number two, of course, the drops diary. The value is in its simplicity. Who has started doing their drops diary for the stuff that they're doing and collecting the neighbours? Okay, anyone, please unmute and just share something that's happened in the last 30 days. Whether it's the number 1, 2, and 3 agents do the most letterbox drops, or no one's doing any letterbox drops, or I see no pattern, or what is it that you're finding? Anyone like to share? No, all good? So it is important that we're doing this, right? So don't underestimate the value in it because of its simplicity. It is a bit of a game changer.
Let's go to Michael McClure. He's dropped something into the chat box. Our drops to the neighbours around a competitor's board would often be the effect of your neighbours are selling at 6 Smith Street. If you've had any thoughts around selling, now can be a great time to capitalise on the increased buyer activity in your street.
Yeah,
nice
perfect.
wording, Michael. Yep.
Yeah, very good. Your neighbours at Smith Street are selling. If you've had any thoughts of selling, now can be a great time to capitalise on increase. Absolutely. And it's just telling, because what is it? And Michael's message is so important to understand. What is it that sellers want from agents? What is it that sellers want from agents?
A buyer.
They want to know you've got a buyer.
That's it, team. Sometimes I get people say, oh, they want great service. They want to be communicated with. They want to see great marketing. They want to feel confident you can negotiate really well. They want to feel that they trust you, right? You've got to earn their trust. Yeah, but that's all part of the process. The bottom line is they're using you to find the one thing that they want from you to get a result, and that is a buyer. And when we understand that, everything revolves around buy work. And that's why those agents, the best agents in the country, are the agents who are doing incredible buy work, and they've got great follow-up, and they can demonstrate that to their sellers through the campaigns and pre and post campaigns. It's so important. So please start facilitating the drops action, the drops diary. I think it's going to be an invaluable exercise for you. Okay, and we've got to get that back happening. All right. So what prospecting and marketing will you commit to? And I love this slide because it actually is a to-do list for you. So there's mainstream marketing and of course just some activities. So I'm not sure if everyone can see that, and I've put it up in order of return on investment. So what prospecting and marketing will you commit to? Now, number one, of course, raving fans, right? Referrals, family and friends, past vendors and past buyers. So if you're committed to that process, that means your client engagement strategy, which we'll talk about in the next slide, should be really on point. Then you've got what we call hustle leads, for sale by owners, expired listings, buyer conversions, door knocking, cold calling, market presence. Okay, so that's where you get what I call hustle leads. And then, of course, your direct mail, your general flyer distribution, your service area, the buyer letter, the handwritten card, your Magic 25s, further Magic 25s, market presence and price drive. And of course, if you use other marketing material, just put it in there in your prospecting strategy. Your digital website appraisal requests, appraisal address searches, property reports, appraisal requests through Google, direct mail, social media. They're harder to measure. They really are, but there's always going to be a combination. And understand it could be that they see you on social media and then they get a letterbox drop and then they come and visit you at an open for inspection because of your OFI invite, okay? So it is a layered approach. So don't think it was just the OFI invite might be the biggest catalyst of the three. Does that make sense? Okay. So understanding all that. And of course, vendor referral sites, vendor advocates, third-party suppliers, your accountants, your solicitors, out-of-area agents. I was blown away this morning. Arthur, you're talking to one of our team members here in Victoria, and they've had a great run on listings and so forth. I won't mention names, who received a listing referral and listing, I'm assuming, from one of our team members in WA.
That's right.
Okay. So, and I know not everyone here is part of the AA network, and there's lots of people outside, but can I tell you this? All right. The slides are too further back. One of my others, in my example, is if anyone's on Tom Panos's real estate gym, right? Real estate gym, which I highly recommend everyone should be on it. I think it's one of the best training resources available, and one of the most affordable as well. I believe you can't. There's so much that you can learn, not just from ourselves, but for so many others. So I highly recommend it. But Lisa Novak, who we've gotten to know over a period of time as well, she's one of the biggest referrers of listings to other people in that network, right? That I know. And she's always putting comments on there, goes, who's at this suburb? I've got a contact for you. Who's at this suburb? I've got a contact for you. So whether you're part of a network, whether you're part of us, whether you're part of another network, it doesn't really matter. Have a network of agents. Agents you meet at conferences. Become friends with them, familiar. Be top of mind, like their social pages. Make sure they see you, because that omnipresence extends to other agents. So I highly recommend, and everyone knows me, we have the mentality of abundance, not the mentality of scarcity. There is a vendor for every agent and an agent for every vendor, right? There is so much business out there that you're not going to get everything. So don't have that shrinkage mentality of not sharing and not attending, not coming to training and not sharing your gold material and stuff like that, because you're not going to take the opportunity of having that abundance mentality and getting more business to you. Just be aware of that. So it's really important. Okay, so we have another new message, Arthur.
Well, no, it's just Scott the Ball.
Oh,
bit of a smiley face. He was the referring agent, so we'll leave that there.
Good.
Thanks. Thank you, Scott.
Very good, Scott. Awesome. Okay, so high impact. Last couple of slides, team. High impact prospecting and vendor management activities. Again, part of your prospecting strategy, but this is also part of vendor management, which it does cross over. So just be, you'll have access to these slides. I want you to go through all these high impact activities and see what you're going to do. But it's also a daily to-do list. So for example, your daily to-do list should be now phone calls, deal making, negotiations, hot appraisals, hot buyers, current vendors, your campaign updates, your vendor reports, face-to-face, price adjustment system. Then, of course, on the right-hand side, some prospecting strategies. We have a buyer letter, post-buyer letter, SMS prospective sellers, business card with handwritten note. The business card with the handwritten notes is gold, team. And you go through your database call sessions as well. Past appraisals. We'll talk about the appraisal anniversary letter strategy. Last week's settlements calls, so important. Sold to settlement process, you just listed, you just sold, buyer bought off a position. Thank you, just to know this buyer bought off a position, right? This is from a lead generation. This is part of the art of lead generation. Most people, most agents, right? And I'm speaking to the converted here, so you guys aren't in this category. Just don't worry about the buyer that bought off the opposition. Oh, they bought off the opposition, wipe them off. They didn't buy off me, move on to the next one, okay? And what a missed opportunity. I know those agents that really have a diligent and they care a lot, and a diligent buyer follow through and follow up, a great buyer service. And they do it for the right reasons, not the wrong reasons. Win business into the future well beyond their past clients. And what I mean by that is that if a buyer bought off the opposition, wish them all the best, right? Pretend that you sold them the home This is really invaluable to understand, right? Pretend you sold them the home and put them on your sold to settlement process. Give them a call, wishing you all the best when you know when they're going to settle. Start becoming friendly with them. Get the details from them. When do you look like settling? Oh, at the end of July. Congratulations. Come second half of July, just a great voicemail or SMS. Just thinking of you, John and Mary. Wishing you all the best for settlement in the coming weeks. Right? Just wish them all the best. Even a phone call. Set your anniversary trail. 6-month follow-up call, referral requests. That's where the art comes into it when we talk about the art and science of lead generation. And of course, we have all the other ones. You know, your lost listing. It's believe it or not, a lost listing, thank you but disappointed card, is a prospecting strategy. It's part of the art of prospecting. So you need to lose, when we miss out on business, be about it. Don't go off the rocker, right? Don't write them off. Leave the door open, because we know there's a small percentage of properties that don't sell with the agent that they list with, 10, 20%. You've got a great opportunity. Make it easy for them to get back in contact with you. And another great strategy is to find out why you've lost the listing through a director's letter, a director's follow-up call. We'll talk more about that in our next session, which is the listing presentation. And of course, all your Magic 25s, your email marketing. So moving forward, right, we've seen just in those couple of slides, there's a hell of a lot that we can do. And I want you to be, I want you to take this, you can't do everything. You've got to go quality over quantity. Remember this, be realistic in your expectations and more importantly of yourself. Be realistic in the time you're prepared and able to put into your prospecting. Be realistic with the budget investment you can allocate for a sustainable period. So always start with small and then build on it. Don't be the agent that comes into a marketplace and says, I'm starting from scratch and I'm going to saturate 5,000 homes, and then you do it for a month, possibly a second month, and then you give up because it's just been too hard. Be the agent that starts with 500. Buy 200 pieces of data. Start working with that. Start getting 1, 2 listings. Start leveraging yourself. Let time do its thing, right? Don't go all in guns blazing and then you set yourself up for disappointment. Does that make sense? So last one, building out your mainstream prospecting plan. What I want you to do is to look at your Black Salt book, go to your, obviously your workbook and go through, obviously pages, it starts on page 66, 67. And it has all your prospecting activities listed on those 2 pages. So we have up the top right-hand corner, BDA drop, right? Weekly, fortnightly, or monthly. You need to make a decision how many homes you're going to do and whether it's weekly, fortnightly, or monthly. Now, this is my suggestion. When you first start to saturate an area, I recommend that you do it every single week until you get your first listing. Until you get your first listing or 2 listings, then move to twice a month. And I think that is sustainable thereafter. To do it weekly, it is a little bit over the top for a long process, but you've got to, you need to do it to get traction in the first instance. Then, of course, the second one, outsource telemarketing. If you're not prepared to do your own telemarketing, you need to outsource it. Start with 2 to 3 hours a week, but then start building it up. Then you follow through with door knocking, then your email weekly, fortnightly campaigns, your video market wrap. Just one moment, guys. I'll just close. Still, yeah. Your video marketing wrap. So this is an important one. Your video marketing wrap should be, even if it's a short video. Remember how I was talking to you about Karen Terry and how she was doing the sold sticker? What and I think Jason Sterling, I should say, is on the phone. Is on the campaign. I'm not sure if he's continued to do it, but just doing a quick Saturday morning market wrap. Most instances, people might listen to your first video, as I mentioned before, but they're probably not going to listen to your following video. But what's going to happen after you do it once is that they will remember what you did the first time, and it's just reinforcing what you're doing. Oh, he's got a few more open for inspections. He's working with some buyers. He's just given a short market wrap. The shorter the video, 15, 20 seconds, the better it is. And just getting out there, but it's the consistency that's going to win you in the prospecting and the omnipresence strategy that you're trying to work out. And of course, anniversary cards and so forth. So moving forward, out of all the prospecting strategies, I believe this client engagement roadmap is your secret weapon. Okay. And again, just like the Drops Diary, it's don't be fooled by its simplicity. So I want everyone to take note of this, right? I want everyone to think about a property anniversary for a past seller, past buyer, someone you've come across that hasn't sold, but you've found out where the anniversary, people in your service area. Send them, if you know them, give them a phone call, leave a voicemail. I'm really big in voicemail, and just instead of calling people and interrupting them, it's a simple, hi Maria, congratulations. Can you believe July is your this July is your 3rd year anniversary at your property at XYZ. I hope you're loving it as much as you did when you first purchased it. If I can help you in any way, please let me know. Congratulations. And by the way, you've done really well. The market's it's up 20%. So you're well into the $1 million mark now, or whatever it is. The more personal, the better. All right. A lot of I know a lot of agents are also adding in a dollar scratchy, right? Just to be even more memorable. So that's part of the client engagement roadmap. This is one client in your database. Okay. The calendar magnet season's greeting card, first week of December. Calendar magnets to me, they don't sound too sexy, but they're really important. And you know they work when you do it after a few years and you start getting the inbound phone calls and they say, are you sending out a calendar magnet? And it will happen to you. The next one is end of financial year, end of calendar year SMS market reports. And we've got access to all these digital tools to be sending out mid-year and end-of-year market reports. Some people are sending out hard copies. I'm happy with a digital one. Again, make it simple enough and affordable that you know you're going to do it. This is one person. As they happen, of course, the just listed, just sold. We have a buy match, SMS and property brochures. So you should, if you're containing your data and you're holding your data correctly in your database, every time you list the property around one of your contacts properties, they should get a just listed, just sold, personalized SMS where possible. And it's as simple as, I'll keep you updated on the progress of number 1 Smith Street. We've had strong interest to date. I'll let you know what it sells for. Just something simple. And of course, the email campaign. And this gives you weekly, fortnightly, just listed, just sold, the market reports and the blogs. You put this client engagement roadmap in your process with every single person that you come across that owns a property, you will smash it. It is so simple, and we're not bombarding them every 3 months. Now, this is a different engagement when you have what we call now sellers. If you go into an appraisal now, over the next 2 to 3 weeks, you need to follow up that appraisal to see if they're now sellers and be top of mind, and make sure that if you haven't listed it on the spot, that you've got that follow-up with it. Okay. Start with one activity strategy, perfect, automate and implement, and move on to the next. So what I'm talking about here is when you're building out your prospecting strategy, just start with one. I'll give some examples. Your property anniversary cards. So as I said about the client engagement, make sure that you're sending this out in your first 7 days of each month for service area and your client list. Get someone, you need to master that. So you need to organize, well, what type of card am I going to send out? Go get some printed happy home anniversary Get your local area, an old black and white of your local area, personalize it to yourself, your brand, and so forth, and use that. And make sure you have a strategy that you've got the data and you send it out to your own database, and of course to your service area that you don't know the individual people. I know George is on the call today, and his anniversary card strategy is one of the best that we know, because he's had vendors call him after sending him 7 anniversary cards who think that that George actually sold them the property. He goes, when we bought the property off you, George, you know, we did this, we've done this, you've kept in communication with us for the last 7 years. And George has to remind him sometimes that actually you bought it off someone else. I just happened to be sending you the anniversary card. So remember what I say, the greatest competitive advantage is that your competition is lazy as long as your competition can't say the same thing about you. So start with that, perfect it, then move on to the next one. The next one could be outsourced cold calling. Now, outsourced cold calling is not simply ringing up one of the telemarketing companies and saying to them, can you start calling my database? It's actually working the right dialogue, the right strategy, and sitting down with them on a regular basis to make sure that you're maximizing the return on investment for those calls, right? Schedule it on a weekly basis and a monthly budget. And of course, you can do it yourself, but I just find that most agents, it's sporadic. It's not as disciplined as it can be. Service area drops, master this and start with the drops diary. If you start with the drops diary, I can guarantee you that that is going to change your business if you're doing it consistently, right? And again, I encourage everyone to start with 500, move up to 1,000, 1,500, 2,000. The next one, Magic 25s, non-negotiable. Go back to that slide. Select the ones that you do. Start with the just appraised. Move on to the just listed. Move on to the OFI invites. Do the just sold. And they're the minimum. So if I was a busy agent and I needed to streamline it, these are the absolute minimums that I would do at our Magic 25s. The just appraised, the just listed, the OFI invite, just solds, and buyers missed out. And of course, if it was an auction campaign, I'd add that. So it's a minimum set of 5 that I would be doing around from a digital and a direct mail point of view. And of course, your social media. To me, the social media, I wouldn't go absolutely spastic on it, because I think it's very easy to get into that rabbit hole of social media. Just make it as simple as possible, and it's not taking too much of your time and you're sucked in that vortex, spending 2 to 3 hours on social media, hoping that you get the next listing. It should be as simple as just listed, giving it to an assistant or an outsourced person. They put it on social media, it automatically connects with your Instagram, your LinkedIn, whatever it is, and then that's it. Short video, get it done, post it. Don't get sucked into the vortex. Oh, what should I list? What should I put on social media today? What type of advice can I give? Don't do that. Don't fall for that trap. Again, the point is becoming omnipresent and being perceived as an active agent in the marketplace. Okay, team, what time? Really good. We've come to the end of today's session. Who's found some value out of today? Can we show of a hand? And I know for those people that have attended my sessions before, it's a lot. I'm hoping we've changed it up just that little bit. But I think it's really important to understand that whilst a lot of the ideas are the same, it's the implementation of them that can make the difference, okay? So a quick round the room. Who's got a gold idea that they're actually going to do from today's session? And what is it? And when are you going to implement it?
This is interactive, isn't it?
I'm going to work around the competitors boards. That's a great idea for me.
Thank you, Megan.
Yep. Thank you, Megan. Yeah. Handwritten cards definitely have more cut through than the printed ones. My suggestion there is, if you don't have the time or the commitment to handwritten cards, the printed ones are your next best option. It's just like prospecting. What's the number one prospecting strategy? Starting from cold. Do you think it is? It's door knocking.
Door knocking, yeah.
Door knocking. Because that's when you're getting belly to belly, face to face. Most agents, 95% of agents don't do it because it's one they can't commit to. So how much does it cost to do door knocking? Zero. There's no cost in it. It's just a cost of time, the investment of time. So, when we look at if you look at your dollar productive hours that we talked about in the sales agents plan, door knocking is at the top of the list. It's face to face. Okay, so we've gone through our June session, our July session, the art and science of lead generation, and our next session, which is on the 1st of
August.
Thursday, the 1st of August, is winning the business annual listing presentation. I'm going to be really excited. I'll have a couple of team members, a couple of agents on board helping in the listing presentation, whether it's Julie, whether it's Jared Carmen, whether it's Michael, and we'll be going through an in-depth whole process of your listing presentation. So let me just check that. Yeah. So that's going to be next. In a sec. Yeah, so win the business, your listing presentation, August, Thursday the 1st, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Please mark it in your calendar. This recording and the slides PDF will be available within the next 48 hours on the Black Salt membership page. So be sure to come and revisit it. And we've recorded it as well, and probably it's going to be in Fathom, which means you'll have a transcript and some summary so you can revisit the important ones. Just on this last one, team, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So just like the sales agent's business plan and every session that we do, the follow-up to this and making sure that you sit down and go through it, just focus on the one thing. Like, to me, I would master the Magic 25s. I would master the anniversary calls. I'd master capturing your data into your database and understanding the numbers in your database. And I can't wait to do the database session in one of the virtuals as well, and so forth. So that's it, Maria.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. It's been wonderful. It's been a great pleasure recording Manos right around the room today. I just wanted to say also, if you want to level up with yourselves, just from listening to everything that you've been saying and knowing what we were doing, what we're listing and selling, if you want to level up, go back and look in your diary and actually put down the hours of the prospecting that you have been doing over the last month. That will give you a good idea of, you're writing the numbers that you're writing right now. How much prospecting have you done the last 3 months? And if you were to back that up a little bit, how much difference is that going to make in your business? So that's a good check and level up with yourself in regards to what you have been doing already.
Yeah. And I think people will be pleasantly surprised that the amount of prospecting that you do is not hundreds and hundreds of hours. It's actually the consistency of it.
It's doing it every day. It's like everything
in life.
Yeah.
And more importantly, if you can actually outsource a lot of the processes. And when we talk about outsourcing, I'm talking about whether it's to your team member, immediate team member within your office, whether it's part of your office strategy, getting a process done so you don't have to worry about it. Because your most important job as sales agent is to be belly to belly in the lounge rooms with obviously your sellers and your buyers. That's your number one job. So yeah, so I hope everyone enjoyed it. Once again, thank you so much for joining today's session. I hope everyone enjoyed it being on the Zoom session rather than the webinar. Can I have a show of hands? Yeah, I've got the big thumbs up from Michael. Yeah, and
Thank you.
I enjoyed it a lot more too. So we'll continue it with this format. And again, if you need anything, please reach out, send us an email. I know we're overseas or 7 hours behind, but we're still on the job as we speak. So by all means, just reach out if you need anything, any help. More importantly, can you share some of your successes? That would be really, really good, so we can share it with the team. What did you implement that actually worked? So, and that will be the first. I've got to remind myself to put it in the slide, but that's how we'll start the next session. So, what have we implemented from our Sage Owners business plan and our art and science of lead generation, and what results have we achieved? Right. I would really, and if you can send me an email, every now and then, say, hey, I did the OFI invite 3 weeks in a row, and I achieved this one, listed that. That would be invaluable. It really would. So, yeah.
Amazing.
Done, team. Arthur, any final notes?
Not necessarily. Say hello to Team Greece there for me, mate. I see him working in the background. Good on you. And what's for brekkie today, mate? What's on the menu?
We're going to go down to the Borgata. That's.
How did I know you were going to say that? Have a great day. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thank you so much, team.
Good
Great
to see
seeing you. And we'll talk very, very, very soon.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.